So, welcome to Elite Pilates Teacher Training. I'm Paul. This is a YMCA Level 3 Diploma in the Pilates course. This is an anatomy lesson, and this particular lesson is on a muscle called the gluteus medius. We're also taking the gluteus minimus as well. It's basically do the similar thing, attaching a certain place. We'll look at the origin, the insertion, and the actions of this muscle. So it's a gluteal muscle. The origin of the muscle, you can actually see it here. That's the minimus there. The medius is here. The biggest thing to note with the medius is the fibres are oriented in a slightly different direction. That's the origin. As a general rule, the origin stays stable, or stable there, and it inserts on the greater trochanter, on the top part of the greater trochanter. So with that in mind, I get my trusted band. We just got to look at the line of pull. Both of these muscles adduct the thigh, they adduct the leg. They just take it out to the side. This stays, across his head there, this stays fixed on this area here, underneath the gluteus maximus muscle. The gluteus minimus is closest to the pelvis. So that one's the underlying one, glute minimus, glute medius, and you get the glute maximus over the top. So let's have a look at the glute medius, it's a more relevant muscle to be honest with you. And it attaches there. And again, you've got fibers that run here. Together, when both of the fibers are found equally, they adduct the thigh, they adduct the leg, and take the leg out away from abduct. I apologise, they abduct the leg, they take it away from the midline of the body. If the anterior fibers fire a little bit more, then it acts as an internal rotator, a medial rotator. If the posterior fibers fire in isolation on their own, then it's an external rotation of the femur. They rotate it laterally out to the left, out to the side. Acting together, they abduct the leg. One of the main things you see with this is when you get weaknesses or imbalances, and something referred to as the Trendelenburg Gait. What should happen in an ideal world, and again we can cover this in the, well, it's technically beyond the level 3, something worth noting, Trendelenburg Gait and the Trendelenburg Gait test. If the skeleton lifts up, if he lifts up his left leg, then what's to stop the whole body, the whole pelvis from tipping to one side? There's nothing to support the structure there. What should happen, the opposite glute medius and minimus should fire up to stable the pelvis, both of them. So as the skeleton, as Frank lifts this leg up, what's to stop it falling over? A number of things, I'm keeping this simple. This muscle should fire up to keep the pelvis level. So I personally, when I'm doing the postural assessments, I'll get them to lift the leg up, and I'm watching for what happens both in the pelvis. So let's say Frank lifts his left leg up, and the pelvis dips over to the left. It's a good sign that this right glute medius wasn't strong enough or capable enough to keep the pelvis level. You may see something else going on, this is what's referred to as Trendelenburg Gait. As they lift the left leg up, you may also get a leaning over the body to compensate for the weaker side. So they lean towards they'll lean away from the weaker side. So if it was me, I lift my left leg up and this glute medius is relatively weak, I'll do one or two things. Either the pelvis will drop down to where the side I've lifted, or as I lift the left leg up, this glute medius is weak, the right one, so I'll lean to compensate. I apologise. I will lean to compensate. So, as I lift my left leg up, I have a weak glute medius. Either I'll tilt down away from the weaker side, because this isn't strong enough to lift my pelvis level, and or you'll get a dip and or a lean towards the weaker side. It's your brain just trying to compensate. That's the glute medius where it's weak. And most people do have some sort of imbalances. Then you need to use your Pilates brain for what movements can I do to help strengthen and to help get coordination and to get the muscles working and firing correctly. Another thing to bear in mind from a postural assessment, or from just in general someone's posture, especially if they have the lean over as well, is you're going to get a deviation in the spine ultimately, especially if you get the dropping of the hip. So let's exaggerate that. I lift my, let's assume I've got a weak right glute medius. As I lift my left up and that falls down that way, and I lean to compensate, my spine is basically put in almost classed as a scoliosis, a lateral deviation of the spine. These muscles on this side are going to be tighter, slightly tighter. Now, it may not be enough for you to notice. Sometimes it is, you can palpate it, or you can still beyond the level 3, but depending on your skill level, you can palpate it, or you can actually see the muscles. Just usually maybe 5 inches, that little bit more. Maybe you can see something going on with the hip. But just watching them as they lift the leg up, seeing what their body does, seeing what their pelvis does, seeing what the leg does. Usually indicative of, or can be indicative of, a weak glute medius and minimus, but mainly the glute medius. And that's the glute medius, the origin, the insertion, and the action. I'm Paul from Pilates Teacher Training. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, or comment on our YouTube channel, and follow us on Facebook, Pilates Teacher Training. And once again, thanks for watching.